Yesterday, we talked about Joe Biden and shown his speech from the Senate floor talking about the 1994 crime bill. Also, we touched on his thoughts about reparations and also desegregation. Now, some people may say, well, he probably, changed his mind. Do he have a right to evolve? And that's what people want to say, because people don't want to really take an approach, especially in the black community, to have an attitude like no forgiveness, no forgetting when it comes to affecting us in politics, because that's the only way you can actually make people respect our community. But we have a clip from 2016. Joe Biden was asked that question about that crime bill. I want you to hear his response to it.
The thing about how perspectives change over time. Bobby Rush, member of Congress, said the other day, "I'm ashamed that I voted for the 94 crime bill." You ashamed of that bill?
Not at all. And in fact, I drafted the bill, as you remember.
I know that.
And by the way, we talk about this mostly in terms of Black Lives Matter. Black lives really do matter. But the problem is institutional racism in America. That's the overarching problem that still exists. And we should be talking about it. And you look at it, the legacy of racism in housing and jobs and so on. So
as you heard, Joe Biden do not apologize for the crime bill, even though it had devastating effects. Now, historically, we talk about mass incarceration. Yes, mass incarceration was already underway before the Clinton crime bill, with Reagan passing his drug laws, what really got a lot of it started. The Clinton crime bill was more so the icing on the cake and also really expanded it even more. Now, so Joe Biden, even though he knows all this, he doesn't apologize for it. Now, Joe Biden does not apologize for that 100-to-1 sentencing guideline for crack cocaine versus powder cocaine, because black people were the ones using crack cocaine at that time period. And all of a sudden they want to put a 100-to-1 sentencing guideline on that, just mysteriously, right? They're not going to do it on cocaine across the board, just the ones that black people are using. Now, the guidelines was this: if you had 50 grams of crack cocaine on you, you got 10 years in prison. Versus if you had 5,000 grams of powder cocaine, which is the size of a briefcase, then you can get 10 years. So you can have way more powder cocaine on you and get the time that you would have with crack that's basically the weight of a candy bar, 50 grams. Isn't that something that just locked a lot of people up, right? But he doesn't apologize for that. He doesn't apologize for the encouragement of states to pass strict sentencing guidelines in order to get federal funds. Now, we know when they pass these strict guidelines and tough on crime laws, we know they're going to target black people with them. So he doesn't apologize for that, because that also affected a lot of black people in the states. Because, we're the #1 leader of exonerations with murder, rape, etc. We are, because they just sit here and just do all kinds of things to black people. I've covered right here on this show, Baltimore cops planting drugs, Baltimore cops, just mentioning them for sure, carrying toy guns to plant on black people. Just to name a few. Incentivizing locking black people up just to get money. Well, he doesn't apologize for that. He doesn't apologize for the one strike and you're out clause that was in it when it came to public housing, which stated that if you had any kind of criminal infraction, you can be evicted from your public housing. So let's say you had something like a hot check. Not say you this big master criminal, but anybody could have something like that. You can get evicted based on something that frivolous, right? If you coming home from jail, you can't stay with people that get any kind of public housing, because if you stay there, right, they can get kicked out. And so evictions went through the roof after the Clinton crime bill, displacing a lot of people. But Joe Biden, he doesn't apologize for that at all. Now, notice that Bill Clinton admitted that it was a mistake. Hillary admitted it was a mistake, but he didn't admit at all that it was a mistake. He's not apologizing for it. You have to understand something. Joe Biden, and in his time period, the way he was speaking, old Southern strategy, Dixiecrat kind of speech that he was giving, this is why black people should not vote for this man. And the mainstream media, they want him to be the establishment candidate. I have some black people that's actually drinking the Kool-Aid and thinking that, oh, well, he could only one that could beat Donald Trump. That's BS. Because at one point in time, they were saying about Donald Trump that he wouldn't even primary. And yet he primaried, he got the nomination and became the president. So it should let you know, stop following mainstream media and their so-called polls, because their polls said that Hillary was going to win, and that didn't happen. So don't trust nothing they're giving you about some polls or saying who can beat Trump. Anybody can beat Trump at this point. If you think about it, look at all the things that he has done and stirred up. You have a lot of people that can beat Trump, actually, not one individual or two individuals. But he don't apologize, and he says that he's not sorry for it. That's what he says. That's what he stands on. I'm just trying to give you the information about who to vote for. We cannot vote for anyone who has pushed anti-black policies. We can't vote for anyone that has disrespected us. We have to have a policy of no forgiveness and never forget when it comes to us politically. That's the only way you can enact respect. Because if people can disrespect you and still get your vote, then that shows you're weak, you're powerless, and why should anyone respect you? You see, that's why when something happens to the Jewish community, they enact a consequence like this, and everyone knows that. That's why people be very careful when they're dealing with the Jewish community, because they know they will act that way, because they know that if you're going to do us something and we don't show you a consequence, then you're going to continue with your behavior. Now, as black people, we're not wearing a cape for everybody. We are wearing a cape for us from now on. We're not Superman or Superwoman or Black Panther or whatever character you want to call yourself. We're not that. We have a lot of issues in our community that's going by the wayside, and we cannot allow any politician to have a record like this to get away with that and thinking they're going to have the black support. And they're not going to play the okie doke on black women, because black women are a lot smarter than that. Trying to say, oh, black women are going to carry the Democratic Party. No, they're not, because they're smarter than that. Black women want their reparations too. Black women are tired of okie doke. Black women have a lot of positions they should have in that party, but yet they don't help and fund their campaigns. They're putting all the investment in everybody else but those who have been faithful. But what I'm saying to you is, presenting information about Joe Biden is this. He is not the guy at all. Bernie Sanders, no, because I saw some of you in the comment section yesterday talking about Bernie Sanders. When he was asked multiple times, do he believe in cash payments for reparations? He said no. So when you say no to that, I say no to you. It's just that simple. We have to take reparations that seriously. What we're saying, if you don't go along with reparations and have a policy how you're going to repay black Americans for the work that we have done to build this country, then it's a no vote for you. We're not playing. This is a business transaction. You give me what I want, then I give you what you want, the vote. This is not no moral crusade. It's a business transaction. And if you're not prepared to give us the business transaction that we're asking for, fine. We're not going to vote for you or anybody else that refused to do so. So the nuclear option of no vote is on the table the whole time, because that's how business works. It's either we work together or we don't work at all. It's just that simple. Black folks got to stop being afraid, because I see some of your comments, just straight fear. What fear? What are we supposed to do? Exactly what we're talking about. Either get what we want out of the politicians or abstain. That's simple. Well, we need to get Trump out first, because another one said that. We need to get him out first, and then we can work on progressive policies. No, we've been waiting and waiting for the past 50 years. How much longer are we going to wait? Another 100 years? You would be in slavery the way we're going. No, we're not waiting no longer. Give us what we're asking for, or we're not voting at all. It's just that simple. And there's a lot of people on that consensus right now. And that's a perfect consensus, because we are in a unique position in the area of our votes. Of course, you're going to have some black folks that's going to go do it anyway. They don't care about their votes like that. But we're talking about those of us who care about the future of black people, at least in this country. OK, we know that we are at a critical time, and we can't play with a Joe Biden. We can't play with a Kamala Harris. We can't play with a Bernie Sanders. We can't play with those individuals that emphatically have said, like Kamala said, no, I'm not going to do something for black people. We can't play a Bernie Sanders that gives all kind of concessions to his people, But when it comes to black people, no, no. He say that real quick, how he don't want no reparations. So when you act that way with me, I'm that way with you. I'm completely turned off, and I'm going to let other people know. If I have to keep replaying the same videos of you saying no, I would do that too, to remind people what you said. Because when I see black folks all excited about Bernie Sanders, I'm looking at them like, what? This man has denied reparations many times. But we have shown how he signed on the legislation for his people to get money for something that didn't even happen in this country. The United States of America had nothing to do with the Holocaust. They had nothing to do with it, but yet our tax dollars are going to that. But you want to get mad about things that happened here in the United States of America, our Holocaust, black Americans, and you take an issue with it. Anytime there's something for black Americans, no matter what it is a problem. But when everybody else gets something, the Native Americans, the Japanese get reparations, Holocaust survivors get reparations, everybody gets some sort of reparation, that's fine. Nobody complaining about tax dollars or where it's coming from or had it had anything to do with it. When it comes to us, it's an issue. But see, I'm not for arguing with people about that. It's not an argument. The fact is, it's a debt that's owed, okay? And no politician is going to pass by us, at least here, and not have to deal with that particular subject matter. So once again, just giving you more information about Joe Biden and on his position about that crime bill. We cannot support him at all, no matter what he says. We take a no forgiveness, no forget approach when it comes to politics. That's the only way we're going to have people to make sure they watch what they do and say to us as black people. Don't let nobody try to play this moral game with you when it comes to politics, because politics is something that's extremely cutthroat. And that's how every group acts when it comes to their group. We don't have no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interests, which is the black agenda. We have to be that way completely. We have to. Stop listening to all these other people coming in from the outside trying to tell you what you should and should be doing because of what Trump do. No, if you want our vote, fine. We'll love to go vote for you, but you got to give us what we asked for. Well, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this particular story with Joe Biden and how he just still, even though he know everything that happened with the crime bill, he still doesn't feel sorry about it, let you know his position and what he thinks about black people.